And the subject here is automate your material flow system with AI. Now, this method or this approach is not limited to material flow. I just use that as the kind of the talking point because it's something we're working on in our company right now. Special focus on Veracruz, great. Special focus on material flow, but it could be applied to a number of different aspects or any aspect really, any process improvement project. But this happens to be a good, solid example that we can use of something that we're actually doing. The other comment I should make is that we are not done automating our material flow system. This is a work in progress, but there are enough interesting things here to share. Ralph, I'll have Michael look into that. I think the answer is yes. We can do something for you. So as I was saying, or what was I saying? So we're going to go through something that's in progress. You know, it's not completed, but there's enough going on in this arena that it's a good idea to check in every so often with all the things going on with the world of AI as well as the world of Lean. So quick background, quick introduction. Leonardo Group Americas, my company, is a lean manufacturing consultancy. We're kind of a specialty shop, and we specialize in what we consider the foundational aspects of lean, which are mixed model manufacturing, mixed model line design, mixed model material flow. So line design kind of means value stream design or workflow design, and material flow applies to how we manage materials inside the walls of the factory as well as supply chain suppliers outside the factory. And we consider those two aspects to be pretty fundamental because if you don't get good at those two, everything else doesn't matter that much, right? All the other aspects of lean don't really help you that much unless you get good at actual line design and material flow. And we're partners with Toyota Material Handling. They have generously opened their doors several times a year for us to teach those subjects in their factory, you know, using their training rooms. So that's been a great relationship. And we also teach this to our private clients as well as primarily help them do it, right? Help them implement mixed model line design and mixed model material flow. Now, I have a reminder mostly to myself. You can download a PDF of this presentation, and I'll just activate it right now. Files, share. The reason for that is some of the slides, not all of them, not even most of them, but some of the slides have a lot of text. And it may be even hard to read on your screen, depending on how, you know, some of you may be even viewing this on a phone. I don't know. So as an alternative way to get access to those details, you can download a PDF file and view that. Okay, so I'm just going to give that to you right now. All right, so here's the agenda. Here's what we're going to talk about. I kind of broke it down to five major topics. First one is what I'm calling building the brain. And I think this is really a fascinating thing, but it's how to create a custom large language model or a custom AI with your own information. And this is something we're working on here with Leonardo Group to build our own custom AI that's a real world expert in mixed model manufacturing with the kind of stuff we do. And I'll go over, you know, in a general sense, how you might do that and point you in the direction of learning how to do that. I know many companies are pursuing this as well for a variety of reasons, which we'll also talk about. Second step is mapping the process. So if we're trying to improve something, as Taiichi Ohno said, without standardization, there's no Kaizen. So we need to at least start with some understanding of where we are today in your material delivery system or your material management system. And so we'll talk about various options, but basically how we've gone about it to document the process that we use with our clients to design and then manage a material management system. And I'll just, I have a comment here that large language models actually prefer text, you know, as inputs. So there may be a variety of different formats that we have, videos, et cetera, but large language models, at least at this stage of their maturity, kind of prefers text-based information, as the name implies, right? Large language models. Okay, third step is analyze the flow. So here's where we're starting to use AI to take a look at our current state and analyze it and feed back to us some insights, some information, some suggestions, some process improvement ideas. And this has been extremely powerful. So I'll share with you again what we're doing in this arena. And specifically, when it comes to improving a large value stream, one of the things that we asked our AI to do is give us some feedback in terms of for a specific work step or task, is this basically a human type of task that a human being is going to have to do? Or is it something that we could improve with just some simple standardized old style code, right? Write a computer program in a Visual Basic or in a macro or a Python program? Is this something that could be automated or improved in that way? Stuff that we've been doing for a long time, really. Or is this an AI kind of opportunity where we could actually feed some information to AI and actually have AI do the heavy lifting or do the work? And so, or is it a mix? Is it a combination of those things, which is often the case. So we'll take a look at how we've gone about getting that information out of AI. And then we have a human step, which is brainstorm the burst. So you're going to get some ideas back from AI and probably an overwhelming number of ideas. And at this point, we're recommending that human beings take a look at it and try to rationalize what you're going to work on, because you can't work on everything at once. And some of the ideas are going to give you bigger, faster payback than some of the other ideas. So there's low-hanging fruit opportunities, right? And then there are lesser opportunities. We need to rationalize all of that, most especially when you're dealing with a long list of opportunities that you may get out of AI. I'm pretty confident. And then finally, we have prioritized projects. So we're going to go back to AI once we've decided on some priorities and ask AI to drill down. In other words, the first pass from AI was just doing some general analysis and sorting. Now we want you to take a specific opportunity and drill down and give us a lot more information on what we can do with this. And then, of course, at the very end, we have to do something. And at least at this stage of maturity of AI, the doing things is us, is the human beings, right? AI really can't do much. In fact, unless it's something that can be 100% digital kind of work, AI relies on human beings to actually execute or do anything in the physical world. Now that's changing. I mean, there's a whole robotic effort going on pretty quickly, but for now, the work falls on us. So let's start with the first one. It's very interesting. It's called what I'm calling, I guess, building the brain. So what we're working on here at Leonardo Group is building the Leonardo brain. Leonardo brain. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to take a large language model, and there are lots of choices there, but we're going to train that model in addition to what it's already been trained in, right? So some of these models are huge. Some of these models are mini or smaller, but in addition to whatever's been trained in, we're going to add our specific content. So we're going to create a custom large language model based on or built on an existing model. And this is quite mind-blowing because it costs these companies tens of millions or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars to build and train these models. I mean, it's just incredible. But if they're open source, then they're available to us to actually use and build on, which is quite an amazing thing, isn't it? So many of the models are either you can connect to them, like OpenAI can be utilized, and OpenAI is even providing some tools to build on top of their existing ChatGPT models, or there are some open source models that you can literally download to your PC and run locally. And companies that are especially concerned with security are doing that as well. So we're going to set up a custom LLM, large language model. We're going to fine tune that model with our own information. I'll go over what kind of information we're talking about. And then, of course, we want to, at least in our case, we want to share that with the team. We want to share Leonardo's brain with our consulting team and potentially with some key clients, that we're working with. Because this LLM knows mixed model manufacturing to a level that no other LLM will, because we trained it in our specialty and we have more than 20 years of content that we can share with that large language model. So once we have it then, and again, we're still working on this, but once we have it in a mature fashion, we can use that brain, the Leonardo brain, for Kaizen projects, for line design, for material flow designs, for our projects, for training our own people, for training our clients, using it as an Obeya co-pilot, in Obeya sessions, all kinds of opportunities. So extremely powerful. So I'm as excited about this as anything. Now, if you want to know how to do this, how to actually do it, it's actually not that complex, and there are there's a lot of help out there. So I just did a little search on YouTube, and I searched for setting up a custom large language model, and lots of training videos came up. So here's one: LLM from scratch, custom AI for your company. That's kind of what we're talking about, isn't it? And then there's a train your own LLM, and I could have scrolled down quite a long ways with all the different opportunities to learn how to do this. And there are various options, various levels of sophistication as well. Okay, so what kind of data are we talking about to share with this custom AI? Well, basically, AI seems to like text, so we have PDF files. That's a very common one. We have PDFs of all our books, for example. We've written two main books on material flow and line design, so that's pretty important content to share. We can also share Office files, Microsoft Office type files, so text files like doc files, Excel files, PowerPoint files. It will even process audio files, depending on the model you're using and how you go about it. So audio and video. So I've had some success in sharing our YouTube videos. For example, this webinar will be eventually posted on YouTube. The webinars we've done in the past are available on YouTube. That's a lot of great content, but it's audio. This is not scripted, right? I'm not reading a script right now. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. But I've been able to take some of our older webinars, as long as it's appropriate for the topic of mixed model manufacturing, and be able to use that as input, which is really great. Also, we've started the general practice of recording sessions, meetings, presentations, just recording them with a handheld recorder. And then there's a great tool. There are probably many of them, but there's a great tool called Otter, OTTER.ai, and Otter will take your WAV file or your MP3 file and transcribe it word for word. Does a great job. And then also, maybe more usefully, will give you a summary, give you an outline of that particular talk. And that becomes text that can then be uploaded into our custom large language model. Now, if you're a company and you have standard operating procedures that are written, for example, and that's something you want to train the AI in, that clearly would be an opportunity. Also, if you have user guides or manuals, I saw one guy who was training in LLM. He was a repairman. This is really brilliant. He was an electronic repairman. He was working on old computers, like old DEC computers, all that kind of stuff. And he had all the manuals. But to find something in the manual for him when he had a question was kind of tedious. So he scanned the manuals, loaded them into his own custom large language model. And then when he had a question about how to do something or needed some specific technical information, he was able to just query the LLM as opposed to using the manual. So I thought that was a brilliant use there. So that's what we're gathering. In fact, the plan for us is to have a library of training materials that we have used to train our custom large language model, custom AI, partly to secure it, to know what it is we used when we trained it. If something bad happens, a server blows up, computer goes down, OpenAI goes out of business, that we have our content and we could retrain a model pretty quickly if we needed to. All right, so that's input. Now, benefits. Why would you want to do this? Quick review of benefits. Well, clearly, as we've already been talking about, you have a tailored solution for your needs. For example, this electronic repairman had a tailored solution exactly for what he needed, and information that probably was not in the general model. Although it's an amazing what is in the model. It's kind of mind-blowing. So tailored solution for your business needs. Or in our case, we need a tailored solution for companies that want to implement mixed model manufacturing the way we teach it, the way Toyota does it, actually, to be honest. And we can rely on that information as opposed to relying on who knows where this information came from, right? From the generic ChatGPT or generic AI. Some companies, number two, have data privacy or security concerns. For example, if you're in the aerospace defense industry, or if you're in a very competitive industry, even if it's not aerospace and defense, where you don't want information getting out, to the public. Even if the AI companies like OpenAI assure you that it won't be shared, you can't trust it, right? So there are opportunities to create a private AI that will run on a local machine, not connected to the internet. If that's the way you want to set it up, not even connected to the internet, that can run large language models and your own custom information. So that is actually being done. Enhanced performance and efficiency, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that if you have a local model, it's going to be more efficient or run faster than a cloud-based model. That one I'm not sure about, so we'll skip that one. Number four could be important. Avoid vendor lock-in. For example, if you're building systems based on ChatGPT, OpenAI, then you're kind of married to OpenAI, to that company, and because you're starting to invest a lot of time and effort into something that someone else owns, actually, OpenAI. So if you're using a open source model, that gives you some flexibility in terms of having maybe a little bit more control over, over the tool, over the large language model and how you're using it. I think the most important one is competitive advantage through innovation. So this gives you tools, methods to innovate, to come up with new ideas or improve your existing processes much more quickly than you could probably do in the past with just people only. So we're getting an AI co-pilot to help us with our process improvement or innovation efforts. I think that's really an important one. Now, I wanted to share with you a couple tools that we're using that I think are really, really fascinating. This one I just learned about recently. It's called Notebook LM, and it's a Google product. So to get access to this, right now it's free. So notebooklm.google.com will take you to this tool. And what it lets you do is upload sources. So it lets you choose a file. So that file could be a PDF file or a doc file or a plain text file. It even says here you can upload audio files like MP3s. So directly you would upload a file. Or down at the bottom on this page, there's some options for Google Drive. So if you have documents in Google Docs or Google Slides, or Link. So this is where I've been getting some good results from LinkedIn. Sorry, from YouTube. So they have a YouTube link here to upload the URL for a YouTube video, or a link to a website page, I'm assuming here, you could link to directly, or just paste text in. So a lot of options for getting the information in. Now, what do you get out? So here's kind of the output page, and it's pretty darn fast. I mean, even on a YouTube video, it comes back pretty much right away with the results, and it gives you a summary. It's kind of what you see here, or you can generate a frequently asked questions based on that content, or a study guide, table of contents, a timeline. Briefing doc was pretty detailed. So all kinds of good text-based output. And then really kind of the most amazing thing is this thing over here, audio overview. When you click on audio overview, it will give you a podcast of two voices. Now they tell you up front, this is American, two American voices, American accents, and actually pretty much American style kind of podcast, but it's incredibly realistic. There's a man and a woman, and they're discussing whatever document you uploaded to them. It's kind of mind-blowing because it's very realistic. I mean, if you had someone listen to that podcast and they didn't know where it came from, they would literally, I would not literally not know that it was AI generated. Looks like people talking, and they're using your content, but repackaging it, adding in new different examples. It's quite creative, so quite mind blowing. So we're using that to get information from YouTube into some structured format that I think AI will find more usable. The other thing with setting up your brain is we want to give access to our brain, at least to our team, right, to our team of consultants. And so if it was on a individual PC in my office, for example, running on a PC, it'll run, but sharing it becomes more difficult. So what we've done here is we have a private website. It's a WordPress website for our company. And I found a tool called AI Engine. You can see it here in the slide, AI Engine. It's a plugin to WordPress, and it gives you access to all kinds of tools. It allows you to connect to OpenAI if you want to use ChatGPT, different models from ChatGPT. You can also connect to Claude, Anthropic. You can connect to Google. I forget the name of their AI, but lots of opportunities to connect to different engines, right? Different AI models. And then you can do things like gather statistics while your users are using it. Embeddings, I'm not even quite sure what that is, has something to do with being able to share information, fine-tuning the model with your own information, moderation, in other words, allowing some kind of really creative engagement with AI. And then even some kind of, it says assistance API, some way of developing for developers who know how to do that, to develop some interfaces or assistance based on that. So all kinds of, and this is only a one little part of the setup. They have all kinds of capabilities here. So I'm pretty impressed with the AI Engine. It's not free, but it's not expensive either. It's quite amazingly cheap. So we're pursuing this as a way of building our brain, our Leonardo brain, and also making it accessible to our own team and maybe to others as well. We are less concerned about security, meaning we're less concerned about intellectual property, because most of the value of what we do is our human contact, working with people, with teams, and not so much the information itself. Now, other companies have different concerns, but for us, I think this will work. All right, let's move on to the second step here that we want to talk about. So describing your material flow process. So we're assuming that we're starting with some information about how you do things today. And we're talking about then opportunities to improve it. And one main ways to improve these days is to automate a process. When you automate it, then you make it more consistent, repeatable, less input, faster, right? That's what we're trying to achieve. So what we're looking for here is to share a description of what we do in our material flow system or any other value stream, right? But in this case, as an example, material flow, how we do things today. And primarily, as I said, LLMs are looking for text-based descriptions. They seem to be able to process that most easily. Now, they can deal with images. So if you have a value stream map, for example, I've had some interesting results in just sharing a value stream map with ChatGPT, for example, and asking it to analyze it and tell me what it sees, and it's pretty accurate. It's able to look at it. But a value stream map itself may not be the best tool. So I'll talk about that in a minute. So we have a material flow roadmap. So we had that. We have it. We've been using it for years, actually. Roadmap or checklist. So we have it in a flowchart format, not exactly a value stream format, but pretty close. But we also have a text-based description of that roadmap. What are the steps to implement a material flow system in text? So we had a good starting point. If you don't have that, then that's something that you would have to come up with, right, to document. Now, what we've done then is we've shared that roadmap with our brain as it is now. So that brain actually has a lot of our information already, the Leonardo brain, and I'll share with you what we're getting out of it. Now, if you don't have a material flow roadmap, you could use a large language model or AI to help you create it as well. If you describe in simple English how you do things, then ChatGPT or Claude or any of these large language models do a really super job, amazing job of organizing that input, that prompt, and giving you some additional content, additional suggestions. So if you don't have a real description of your material flow system, I would suggest use AI, right? Use LLM, but with some fairly detailed prompts or text-based descriptions of how you do things. And then you'll find you'll get really good, interesting results. Now, this format of value stream map, which is how we usually think of as a tool that we use to document a value stream, is not going to work as well for us, and especially for material flow. And here are the reasons. Generally speaking, a value stream map is too high level. There's not enough information on a value stream map for AI to really get into the detail and really be helpful. So that's one thing, whether it's material flow or not. You have a box called, in this case, you have a box called machining. There's not much that AI can do with that, right? This is good for kind of giving people a general overview of what's happening, but we really need more information than that. We need to drill down, quite a bit deeper than that. And this is especially true when it comes to supply chain or to materials, because in this value stream map, it would not be unusual to see a box on the left side that says suppliers, but how does that help us? We could have tens of thousands of components and hundreds of suppliers easily. And so this level of detail, again, is just very, very, very high level. And it's probably not going to help. Now, the other third concern, so too high level, supply chain's too complex, and also readability by AI, I wouldn't trust it that much. So even if we did have the level of detail we need, we're still taking a little bit of a risk in getting AI to look at an image and be able to interpret it accurately. I'm not sure about that. I mean, it's been decent, the kind of feedback I've been getting, but I wouldn't trust it for that. So what I'm trying to tell you is we probably need some kind of text-based description of our processes. And here's some examples from our own roadmap. So our own roadmap has 120 steps, 120 implementation steps, and it could be much more than that if we wanted to drill down even to a level below that. But here's some examples of the kind of descriptions that we have in our roadmap. For example, one of the steps is to form a team. If we have a line design or material flow project, we're going to have a design team. So in this case, form a cross-functional MMMM, that's mixed model material management design team. And then there's some additional description of what we want to have done. So that's something that would need to be done, right, in terms of a project. You need to identify team members, get the right people on the team. We have some recommendations on who should be on it. We need to set up a little list with their contact information, etc. Some details related to setting up a team. The second example here is related to, I believe it's building our plan for every part for material flow. And it says define and document the XYZ strategy for inventory management. And there's a little definition of what we mean by XYZ. And so this is an aspect of plan for every part that we need to address. The last one is document the signaling method to be used for each inventory item within the plan for every part. So again, we're talking about, is this a Kanban item? Is this a sequence delivery item? Is this a kitted part? What is the signal then? Is it MRP? Is it a card? Is it a light? How do we, is it an empty space? Is it an empty bin? What is the signal that we need to send to trigger a pull-based material replenishment action? So again, that's a step that needs to be thought through. So this is a level of detail that we're feeding back to our brain, right, to our AI. Okay, so our own roadmap, the mixed model material flow roadmap, is stored in our website. So we have a membership site called the Lean Design Studio, and this is something called the Linked program. So Linked program is the material delivery program, and we've set up our roadmap as a course. So each of these steps that we need to complete is a topic or a task within this course. So as I said, we have 120 of these, maybe it's a little bit more, 120 of these things that need to be accomplished or done, work tasks, and it's organized into 9 major phases. And so this is a simple way of using the Lean Design Studio as kind of a project management tool, because you can go through just like you would in an online course and you can mark them as complete. Now, you can also take this information, put it into Microsoft Project and be a lot more sophisticated. But if you want to follow your progress through the implementation of a mixed model material flow program or project, then you can use this as a tool. And all of the text that I just showed you is included in here as well for each step. So when I click on each of these steps here, there's some instructions on what needs to be done. So that's working out very well for us. So here's what we did. So we're getting into interfacing with ChatGPT. So we had a prompt in Chat. Now remember, our Leonardo brain already knows about mixed model manufacturing. We've uploaded our book, so it has some background content that it's going to rely on. So what we're saying here is, please analyze the mixed model material flow roadmap. So we loaded the entire roadmap as a doc file, or as a PDF, I think it was. So please analyze this and go task by task, step by step, and for each of the tasks, classify it based on one of 3 categories: human, or code, or AI. And also, if it's a combination, give us that feedback as well. So to make a long story short, and it is a long story, when we pushed the go button, it went away for a while and came back with 850 pages of analysis. So it gave us, for each of those tasks, gave us quite a thorough analysis of, here's the task, here's what it is, summarize what the task is, and then lots of interesting detail for each of those tasks, including at the end an assessment of, hey, this is something that can be done by humans, or should be done primarily by humans, but with some simple coding tools, to help, or et cetera. Classified every one of those. Now that was too much for us to deal with, 850 pages. So we uploaded the 850 pages again and said, boil it down for us, summarize it, just show me what the task is and what your recommendation is. And it came back, and that was still 120 pages. So quite a thing. So this is an example of, I'm showing you here an example of the kind of information that we're getting back. For example, I don't know which task this is exactly, but it says the primary classification for this task was coding. So per AI's analysis, this task could be done primarily by an app, right, or by a program of some kind. So documenting the signaling method, okay, that's what we're talking about, for each inventory item involves processing extensive data, categorizing, Integration through Python or VBA scripts enhances efficiency, accuracy, and scalability. Code-based solutions ensure that signaling methods are assigned uniformly across the inventory, reducing the risk of inconsistency. So to make a long story short, I think what it's suggesting here is, if we have a plan for every part, that we could use that information with a macro, or it could be a Python-based or any language tool or app, to assign signaling methods based on certain inputs. It could be entirely automated with code. So beautiful. So that would save, just that one step would save a human being a lot of time. Because imagine if you're sitting in front of an Excel spreadsheet with 5,000 part numbers, and you've got to analyze those things. What is the signaling method for each of those 5,000 part numbers? Well, that's going to take you a while. Whereas if we have the necessary input information and a simple macro, could be an Excel macro for that matter, we could automate that entire process very quickly. And then it would still need probably a human review, but that's going to be much more efficient. There are a lot of aspects of building a plan for every part that kind of fall into this category. All right. So then we asked it to take the summary information and kind of summarize it for us. Now, something I'm not sure why because this is something I just did yesterday, so I haven't had time to really drill down, because it's not looking like it's picking up all of the 120 tasks. But what it said was, what it did come back with was there are 58 tasks where the primarily manual classification was 12. So these are people where we don't need AI or coding, just people, someone human has to do it. And then we have 21 that's primarily code, but with some manual or AI as supplemental tools. And then we have 7 that are primarily code-based with manual input and optional AI elements. I'm not sure how that's different from the other one. Number 4 is primarily manual, supplemented by code and AI, 10. And then code primary automating key operations with. So I'm not sure how different all these things are. I know that the wording is different. I'm not sure how different they are, but you can see a lot of them are actually coding and or manual. So this at least is giving us a good idea of the scope of opportunities that are available for us to improve the way we do things in our company. You know, part of my, I'll take a slight detour here. Part of my claim to fame in my career, dating back to the 90s, no, dating back to the 80s, I'm dating myself, is I learned, back in the early days, I learned DBase. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. It was like a database, PC-based database program. And then later on, DBase was able to be compiled into an executable by something called Clipper. So these are software companies that no longer exist, I don't think. But I got good at DBase and Clipper. So in my job, not as an IT person, just as an administrator or as a material manager, I was able to write little tools or apps to help me in my job or help the company without relying on IT or anything too sophisticated. And it was tremendously helpful. So my first claim to fame in the aerospace industry, I wrote a project management tool called Line of Balance, based on the Line of Balance methodology, but used Clipper and DBase to write a tool. And that tool was used for years in the company for program reviews, like weekly program reviews for our aerospace customers. We would print out a Line of Balance, and that helped us keep track of what's going on with the pipeline of work that needed to be done. So that was very useful. The other thing I did with my consulting, in my consulting career, we had a software program that required the customer to provide data in the form of a text file, like a CSV file. It was never right, never right. It was always back and forth, sometimes weeks of delay to get that data correct so that we could load it into our own Kanban software. Well, I wrote, again, a DBase Clipper program to check the file. So customer, before you send me your data, run it through this little tool that I'll give you. And if it generates error messages, you need to fix it before you give it to us. Again, saved weeks and weeks, sometimes weeks of time going back and forth trying to get the data cleaned up. So that was a big hit as well. So what we're looking at here is something similar. We're looking at our material flow process and where are the aspects where we can really automate those and take time out, improve the quality, get it done faster, better, cheaper, less human input. That's kind of what we're discussing. All right. Now, once we have a list of ideas of where the low-hanging fruit is, again, that's a human review. Then we're going to need to prioritize what we're going to work on, because I guarantee you, you're going to end up, if you do this, you're going to end up with hundreds of opportunities, not a few, hundreds of opportunities from AI. It's really good. Because remember, AI has read every lean manufacturing book ever written. So it's going to come back with things maybe you never thought of. Things that I've been a lean consultant for 30 years. It comes back with things that I agree with, but I hadn't really thought of them. It didn't come to mind at the time. So you're going to have to prioritize what you're going to work on. And one of the ways we typically do that is a decision matrix kind of template. I have an example here for you where you list the opportunities, in this case, the processes or tasks we want to work on, and how easy is it to implement, how expensive or what's the cost related to that implementation or change? What's the impact on lead time, productivity, impact on quality, scalability, risk of failure, alignment with strategic goals, and then we just add up the score. And that way, if you look at some of the opportunities you have and go through this kind of quick, it's kind of like an FMEA analysis, and then sort the list, it'll show you the ones with the highest score, coming to the top, because you're not going to be able to work on everything at once. But I guarantee you're going to have lots of opportunities. So in a material delivery or material flow system, the kind of low-hanging fruit opportunities typically that just based on our experience that you're going to see are plan for every part. If you don't have a PFEP, plan for every part, that's going to come to the top of the list, right? To develop a plan for every part, for sure. Do you have a containerization strategy? That's extremely important. So every item in the PFEP needs to be assigned to a standard container. So that's not necessarily a minor detail. To do that, if you have lots of parts. Kanban system design, that's extremely important, especially from the point of view of error-proofing or mistake-proofing your Kanban system. That's a great project. Also, not everything is deliverable via a Kanban system. Usually Kanban is small parts that can fit in a container. So sequence delivery, so how about everything else? How are we going to manage that? That's a huge opportunity to be worked on. And then we have delivery routes. So we're very big fans of standardized delivery and standardized delivery cycles. This certain fixed cycles of delivery on a factory floor. That's another great opportunity. And then maybe the biggest of all is external supply chain management. So outside suppliers, how do we get outside suppliers on a pull system? What is the process of, and it's probably one by one, right? Getting suppliers integrated into our own internal factory via a pull as opposed to a purchase order or large quantities, et cetera. So those are the kind of things that are typically going to come to the top of the list of things to work on. So once we've selected a project, something we want to work on as I'm assuming as a team, material team, then we can ask AI to drill down. So we can provide the analysis that it provided previously, and that's what you see here. So task 3.4, analysis. So this is apparently focused on standardizing storage bins. So simple thing, but we want to have storage bins standardized. And this information that you see here on the screen, again, sorry if you can't read it, but you can download the PDF. So this is the information we got back from ChatGPT. So key activities related to that task, automation options, and final classification. In this one, primary, code, supplementary, manual. Okay, so if this is something we want to work on, we can ask ChatGPT to drill down further. So I did that for that particular item. I did that. So my prompt was, one of the steps on our material flow roadmap is to standardize the types of storage bins used in a factory. Here is a description of this step. And then I pasted that description in. What are the top 5 opportunities to automate this planning step, either with code or with AI? Certainly. This is a subset, by the way, of what it came back with. It came back with lots of stuff, but I just took a piece of it. So certainly, here are the top 5 automation opportunities: data extraction, generate bin codes, integrate with inventory systems, intelligent categorization, automate documentation and reporting. So it came back with a ton of stuff. So now we drill down again, right, to the next level below. I said, intelligent categorization. This is the actual prompt I typed in. Apply machine learning to optimize bin assignments and adopt usage patterns. That was a suggestion. So I say, please expand on intelligent categorization with AI to document how I might go about implementing that idea. What inputs would you need? Boom, comes back with a list of all the data kind of input information, which hopefully would come from the Plan for Every Part database. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you haven't worked with, with an AI tool like this, then your mind will be blown. If you have worked with it before, then you know that it's going to generate a lot of good stuff and almost too much. So you have to really, be specific in terms of what you're looking for, because it'll generate a ton of content. So, but in any case, imagine if you didn't have AI, you would have to come up with this list of required inputs and so on your own, right? Out of your own brain. And that is possible, but it would take probably a lot longer. Okay. So let's review what we talked about so far. Let's go back to the beginning and just kind of summarize the process we talked about. So our first step was to build the brain. People are not calling it brains, but I like the term. So build a custom large language model. Again, I can't help you with that, but it's not that hard. And there are lots of people on YouTube that have pretty detailed videos on how you can do that. And you can set up private ones. You can set up large language models that are not connected to the internet at all if you need to do that. You can set them up even within ChatGPT. You can customize ChatGPT. As a matter of fact, here's a tip. If you haven't seen this before, if you've used ChatGPT, you haven't seen this if you're just using the default version. But if you have the paid version, you can type in platform.openai.com. And that'll take you to all kinds of additional features related to ChatGPT. Platform.openai.com. And one of them is creating an assistant. So the assistant allows you to upload files and essentially create what I'm talking about here. You got a custom version of ChatGPT. So lots of choices here. Second thing is you need to have a map or a description of your process that you want to improve. So if you don't have that, use AI, use ChatGPT or Claude or any of these to help you create that with your own detailed prompts. But you need to have that because, again, as Taichi Ono said, no standardization, no Kaizen, right? So there we go. So that's a whole issue unto itself. And then we're going to ask AI to do some preliminary analysis of that and give us some recommendations. We're just trying to sort things out. Where's the low-hanging fruit? Where are the opportunities for code, like macros and things on that level? Where are the opportunities for actually using AI as kind of a black box, which makes me a little nervous, but those might exist. And then which ones are purely manual? We need to kind of sort things out. And AI can do that, as you saw, pretty successfully. And then we're going to try to prioritize what are going to be hundreds of opportunities, most likely for Kaizen type projects, right? Kaizen events or improvement projects, and prioritize them to get the most bang for the buck. In other words, find the lowest hanging fruit. And so a reminder, AI generated 850 pages of detail. We asked it to boil it down to 120. Or we asked it to boil it down to a summary, which ended up being 120 pages. So still there's a lot to go through. And this is primarily a human activity. You could ask AI to provide some recommendations, but I think it's something you want to do yourself. And then finally, you need to create those priorities, pick one or two, and start working on them, and use AI then to really drill down to very specific tasks, specific things that you can do. For example, it'll write code for you. So if one of those is a macro opportunity, it'll write the macro for you. You just have to be specific about what it is you want it to do. Okay, so that's basically it. So this is something, just to summarize, this is something that we're working on ourselves, right? So we have our roadmap, but our material flow roadmap up till recently, has been entirely manual, right? Human beings doing it. And so now we're trying to improve the way we do things by providing tools to ourselves or tools to our customers to get it done faster, get it done better through the use of AI. That's a big focus of what we're doing. And it's really quite amazing. I'm really enthusiastic. It's exciting. It's actually exciting to get up in the morning and be able to work on these things and really make progress, right? In a way that before was daunting. It's like trudging through the mud, and now finally we're out on some clear sidewalk, right? And we're not slogging through the mud anymore, right? We can go faster, basically. So that's my final message to you all. So does this Finally, does this sound like AI is going to take your job? You know, sometimes you hear that. AI is coming, and there are articles you can see in the, online in social media, the AI will replace 50% of jobs in the future. Well, I don't know, that maybe happen, but at least for the time being, AI for us, if you're in the world of lean manufacturing, process improvement, if that's what you do, or the world of manufacturing, management, et cetera, AI is not going to take your job. It's going to give you a lot more things to do than you had before. I mean, it can be quite overwhelming. So for now, I don't think we need to worry about that, about AI taking our job. It's going to be, how do we deal with all the opportunities to improve that kind of existed before, but we didn't really have access to them. For example, we could always write macros before, but maybe we didn't know how. Right? And now we can kind of get access to some capabilities without having to have a big expensive project, or without having to go to our IT department to do things for us. We can do things for ourselves and really make progress much more quickly in terms of a lean manufacturing, process improvement, all those things.